Hi, everybody, and welcome to Be in the Know, Table Games and More. And this is our first Be in the Know of the year. Man, I'm really slacking off, man. You were here, we're at the first week of February, and I had to wait for the groundhog to make his prediction, because without that, if he sees his shadow, I do a vlog. If he doesn't see his shadow, well, then I stay in my hole for a while. But guys, welcome to Be in the Know.
Hey, glad being here.
Now, for you people who don't know who these gentlemen are, I got Paul Mallow, and everybody wants to be Paul Mallow. Paul Mallow is the VP of tables at Pachanga. Paul, wave for everybody.
How we doing?
He allows people to use phones on the crap game. You can see. And up in the top corner for me is Mr. Don Snyder. He's the director of everything, I think is your title, right? At Gun Lake Casino in Michigan.
Not quite everything. Not quite everything.
Yeah. So here's two guys that have no problem with labor issues or anything else, but if they did, they'll voice their opinion like they did. So guys, we're going to talk about a subject that is just blowing up the social media. Uh, back a couple years ago when we were at the Table Games conference, they kind of dabbling on the conversation about how AI was going to do all this stuff and we needed to get on top of it. And most of us operators are like, yeah, okay, maybe not. But there wasn't. Then all of a sudden, you can't go on TV, you can't go on social media, and now you say, oh, well, let me see what's this all about. And you can't go to Chat GPT and the thing writes all your resume, not resume, but all your evaluations for you for the year. You're like, whoa, where have I been, man? I gotta get a piece of this action. And so then for you know what, you start thinking, hey, they're talking about how it was going to affect the marketing, the reinvestment, the this and that. It had to hit table games sooner or later. So there's a lot of chatter right now. A lot of people trying to catch up. A lot of vendors. Actually, I mean, I think everybody knows by now that I went to the dark side. I guess it's the dark side. I always called it the dark side, but I'm hoping it's the bright side for me. But anyway, uh, I went to the dark side. I joined a company who's knee deep. We're knee deep in table games intelligence, and we're looking to provide solutions, just like probably 15 other companies are trying to provide solutions. But I think there's a lot of solutions needed out there. Like I said, you guys don't experience the labor issues, but most of the country is. Like you can't get a floor person, you can't get skilled dealers, and you start looking into your marketing and you find out that the reinvestment just don't look right, and there's all sorts of these issues just hanging out there that can be tackled probably by AI, right? I won't say where I was or who I was talking to, but they were talking about their surveillance operation. They asked for them to do a rundown, and they said they didn't have time. They didn't have enough operators to do a rundown on a guy. So that the situation is getting bad, and God forbid, our skill level is at an all-time low, uh, and now we got Trump is just on the verge of having no tip tax on tips, I guess is the right.
Yeah, he announced it.
So what an impact that's going to have. Who would want to be, realistically, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, and I'm gonna ask you this question. So in my experience over the last 10 years, the people who are supervisors who really want to move on, it's probably maybe in the 5 to 10% tops of the people who are out there who really have any desire. They're just in there, swiping a clock and doing the job. Now, come along with where you get an immediate 20%, I don't know what the number is, a 20% pay raise, right? What's going to motivate you, unless you're in that 5%, right, to be a supervisor? Guys, what anything can motivate somebody to be a
I
supervisor?
mean, I'll kick in first, Don. I mean, I agree. It's very, very tough to get that floor position. I'm like 33 under what my approved level is, and I'll never get to that number. And we just pumped up the base salary of that another $3 an hour just to try to stay competitive with the market. And we are competitive, but nobody wants that job because as a dealer, you make probably 3 or 4 times that amount. And why would you want to become a supervisor? Nobody wants to have that or aspire to move up anymore like they did in past years. But it just gets tough. And you got these floor people that are making whatever that amount they're making, and dealers make 3 or 4 times more. Pit managers make more. There's this compression where they feel like, I'm just the low lights here, and it's a shame. Nobody wants to, and it's tough work. It's a lot. We constantly give them more and more. So yeah, man, it is not easy. Sorry, went on a little.
What do you think, Don?
I think the same thing, and especially if the no taxes on tips comes into play, then it's hard enough to find supervisors nowadays. It'll be impossible at that point because they're going to be looking at taking 10, 20, $30,000 pay cuts. So you're kind of left with a lot of them that are basically just burned out from dealing, or maybe have physical ailments, and they're like, I can't deal anymore, and those are the ones that are going to want to move up. But it's definitely going to make things difficult from that point of view.
Yeah, so I see this all the time, and I think to myself, now I'm thinking much differently than I did before. What if something or something could pick up part of that slack, right? You got a lot of these jurisdictions that mandate so many floor supervisors. They're going to have to do something because they can't get the floor supers to meet those mandates that they have for one person watching four or whatever it is. That's going to have so I can see where AI, let's just say it, you could pick up the average bet. You could enter, basically enter and close the ratings. Uh, the protection element would go away if I mean a possibility. I mean, I can't say what is or isn't out there or what will work or won't work. I mean, I could tell everybody that our system hits at 99.9%, right? Nobody's going to believe it until they see it in front of them, right? Because I'm just using that number. I'm not saying that is the number, but everybody, for the most part, are going to be a doubting Thomas because they've all heard the stories before, right? But I really, from what I'm seeing, AI can do. I mean, the other day, I in 10 seconds wrote a app for a roulette calculator in 10 seconds. 10 seconds, I had it, and then I put it up on a website and put it on my phone. It was less than 25 minutes. That was all done. And it was not done because I knew how to do it. It was, the brain, it took some data that it had learned off something else and developed the app in, like I said, practically 15 seconds. So, okay. So let's just say for the sake of argument, we can cover some of them things, right? Uh, Protection's a big issue. I mean, I don't know, so when we did a little poll a few weeks ago on my LinkedIn, it looked like most people said 60% of everything at loss that we have in table games is productivity. Well, what about now if you could know, Johnny, here in the Midwest, you'll have a thing where you'll train a dealer and you train them on blackjack and all the carnival games, right? So now they go out there and they deal blackjack because everybody puts them on blackjack right off the bat. And then they go about a month later and the pencil pushes them over to Ultimate Texas Hold'em on a Saturday night. And it's all hell breaks loose, right? Because they don't know the game. But what if you knew Johnny had only been on Ultimate Texas Hold'em one time, and you could get him additional training or get him over there on a Wednesday night? There wasn't no guesswork, by the pencil, how much time somebody has on a certain particular skill. I mean, that would have to be amazing, wouldn't
Yeah, yeah. I mean, wow. I don't even know where to start with that one. Other than, yeah, that's one use for AI I could see is the capability of the dealers, and somehow blend that into your scheduling program. Others, I think, and I think we're on this next frontier of optical recognition on tables where we can pick up what the cards are, what the chips are. If we can marry that with facial recognition, I mean, you could probably have automatic ratings at tables that are extremely accurate, and you could reduce your floor person, your supervisor levels a little bit. And it's not like we can hire them anyway, but that's another use for AI. But yeah, I mean, I agree. The dealer skill is one that's an easy one to fit into the picture.
Well, just think about you brought up a great uh, point on RNs, right? Right now, we don't know what an RN's true win loss or proficiency or skill level is. But just imagine if you have facial recognition, you pick this guy up, you sign him a number. I kind of teased that out on one of my LinkedIn posts with showing, the facial recognition, picked the guy up, showed what he had won that time and what his month to date and what his lifetime was. I think that's going to happen. No, I don't think it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. What do you think, Don?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big part, when it comes to dealer errors also with facial recognition. For those RNs, when you're talking about game protection, if you see on Tuesday, Benny's dealing to the same RN and makes five mistakes, and then come back on Wednesday and now he makes four more mistakes, and you take that as an overall percentage of mistakes, and maybe Benny only makes three mistakes per day on average, but they all seem to be going to the same person or the same group of people. From a game protection standpoint, that'll be a huge thing to understand. And kind of getting back to the game, you can put these dealers on games and they're 30 days out of school, and you say, all right, let's put them on Ultimate Texas Hold'em. And then you ask the floor, well, how are they doing? Oh, they're doing great. Or, oh, they're just not that good. Right. That because you know what? They're really not paying that much of attention because they got so many other things to do on the floor. So where AI can come in and they can say, you know what, Benny's doing great on Ultimate Texas Hold'em. We don't have to win every bet twice. He's actually, performing at a level that we need. We could start relaying that to the pencils and to the managers and going that route. Or if Benny's having a rough go of it, we can get them specialized training. So I think that's very important from the AI standpoint.
Well, I was just I've subscribed to a couple of these AI follow on some of these AI sites on LinkedIn. And there was an article today about some tasks that ChatGPT performed in 25 minutes that would have taken a human 30 days to perform. So you think
Wow.
about that, you think about pace audits, right? How much time is wasted by a surveillance tech doing, or even a floor person or whoever's doing the pace audits, right? But do they need to be done? Absolutely. They need to be done. And there's all this other tedious reporting that we don't even get into no more, that we should. How about your inventory of your shufflers and how many times they've been serviced and all this? Could you imagine if you knew for sure, hey, this machine hadn't been touched and that's why it's constantly breaking down or just all this craziness that like is so much human labor that we just don't have. We don't have. It's not a matter of, everybody talks about, oh, well, AI is going to cut the labor force. Well, you know what? It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to cut the labor force. We may be able to now that let's say we got supervisors who don't want to be supervisors. Now maybe we can open more games because they can be dealers, right? And now
Mhm.
that same supervisor who could only really comfortably watch 6 games, maybe they're watching 8 games because they don't have that burden that they had on, and maybe customer service takes a leap. What do you think?
Wow. That'd be great. We could actually focus in on customer service. Yeah, I think of all these things we just talked about, I mean, and there's many more, is that somebody's got to sit down. There's got to be a think tank of, okay, how can we use it? How can we implement it? whether it's modular, let's put this pace audits in, let's put this dealer mistake issue in, let's put, dealer knowledge, all these things that we could give over to AI, and then of course develop and write it. And I think a company that's going to have a full package of those type of options for a casino is going to do very well in the very near future. Especially, I don't know your company. I got a meeting with you later on, but I mean, I think marry that in with optical recognition, which is becoming more and more accurate. And I actually dip my toes in the water of having optical recognition at my tables, and we could read the cards, and we could understand if a player was card counting. We could see dealer mistakes. It would see dealer mistakes. We didn't have to see all that, and it would alert us. And I think that's a great use, a beginning use for AI. Um, there's just so many out there. I mean, it really could make our lives easier, and we could get back to customer service, like you said.
Don, anything on that?
Yeah, I think Paul hit it right on the head. The customer service aspect, that's what we need to get back to. And AI can make things run more efficiently. There is the added you can save in labor and maybe when you can't hire supervisors anyway, maybe instead of, you're not actually laying people off, you're just not backfilling the spots. But AI will make things way more efficient for the pencils, for the managers. And you'll even get into, a lot of if you're running a supervisor's watching six tables at a time right now. So a lot of your pits are configured to be 12 table pits. And you could start looking at, reconfiguring of your entire floor and going to 8 table pits if that's what you deem, or one supervisor per 8 tables, or if you're even going to 10 for lower limit levels and things along those lines to run more efficiently. I think it's we're on the cutting edge of a lot of things coming our way.
We'll get right back to the episode, but now a quick word from our sponsor, Tavolo. Well, then let's move on to the next journey of down this road, and that would be player reinvestment. That's what, believe it or not, that's what everybody thought the holy grail was. I'm not so convinced because there's a lot of things that come with that. So if so now you know exactly what the guy's betting. Who do you chop the legs off of the guy who's getting over reinvestment? And do you go to your finance guy and ask for millions of dollars to reinvest in people who were shortchanged? I don't know if that's the answer or not the answer, but I do know that getting the reinvest. I've seen some reinvestment rates at different casinos so far off. It was just unbelievable. And I'm not talking about taking money from people, but if you would just reorganize the reinvestment, right? So you've got, let's just say if you had, uh, let's say your backjack players, they were under reinvested by 25%. How costly is that? Right? I mean, oh my God, and then your neighbor casino, if you are in a competitive market, they're burying you, right? They're burying you, and we just know without pace audits, like we were just talking about, we don't know that our average pace is 65 rounds per hour. We don't know that for a fact, but the system set at that. It's going to give the guy I think the reinvestment's going to see a great turn and improvement.
Yeah, I think the more accurate you get with reinvestment, like you said, so maybe there's the player out there that doesn't deserve these comp dollars, and we trim that down and we give it to players that do deserve it, but they're the ones that are really, helping with your revenue. So I think just that realignment or adjustment or just getting it more exact will save and make the casino, millions in a year. So that's a great use there for AI even.
Yeah, I think that's when you're talking about the reinvestment, I always look at the players that, play poor basic strategy. They pound away at the side bets. A lot of us have two, even three side bets on a table and they're table max and those. Whereas if you're in a competitive market, those are the players that you want back in. So you have to, your systems are generally not set up for, players playing into a 3 to 4% disadvantage. So I think that's one area that you can target. I don't know that you can chop the legs off people over reinvested because they now that they've already received all this for all this time, it's going to be hard to cut that back. But I think for the players that are severely under reinvested, and especially in competitive markets, it's going to be a huge advantage.
And I think you'll see a whole new era of reinvestment to where, now that Paul Malo plays to a 4% disadvantage on regular blackjack. I mean, are we going to adjust how much we give to Paul Mall? He's not going to be like the game settings and the 1.5. We've got to make an adjustment and target you because we know you just want to give us money. We can't take no shot that you go to our competitor's place. So I think target marketing will be a big thing that we see. So what are things you think about that where AI might come into play for table games?
Well, there's the scary side, which is the not only are we going to use it, but the bad guys are going to use it. And I mean, I've read some articles where it says if your voice is anywhere out there on the internet, they can get your voice, replicate it, and use that against you. Meaning, like they would have my voice calling into work here and saying to one of my ship managers and saying, "Hey, give this guy $100,000 on the table," and they'll think it's me. I mean, because it sounds like my voice. So there's that other aspect that the dark side of the game. Plus, all who knows what they're dreaming up right now. I mean, that's there's a lot of new stuff coming down the road that's going to be probably AI behind it. Um, but I mean, other uses though. I mean, not to talk too much. I want to get down to the time, but there's so many things and tasks that we just take for granted. I mean, if you look at a floor person, how much time in that 8 hour shift are they rating people? It's probably 6 hours out of the whole 8 hours where and that's probably their main task is they're running around and swiping people in and rating them. And it's not perfectly accurate. They try to get accurate. And there's also Title 31 issues involved. And did we get the correct amount of cash? And so if you could take just that off, that weight off their shoulders, and they could get back to the easy things like fills and credits and talking to the customer, that whole customer service thing we talked about. So, but there's just more and more, that are out there that
You keep thinking about it, right?
yeah,
I
if you can
mean,
think about it, we can probably do it.
and I don't know if you guys experienced this, but I have. Floor people think that if they make one mistake, they're going to get nobody gets terminated anymore. I mean, a guy really has to do something crazy to get terminated. But in their mind, if they don't do this correctly or they don't do that, so they bury themselves in these rating things, and that's a big. Can you imagine if that goes away, where now the person doesn't have their head buried into the rating system? How
Mm.
much more interaction with the guest, and it will be dramatic. One point you made about the bad guys, I have to bring up. I was reading an article the other day about a chess match in I don't know where it was. It was a high-end chess match, but this person had a set of Google glasses or Meta glasses or something, and they programmed these glasses to look at the board and give them the exact move they needed. So I
Wow.
mean, we're just moments from somebody, some amateur, right? Amateur that doesn't know how to count, right? He's going to have these glasses programmed. They're not going to look like Google glasses or whatever, and he's going to have the count, and he's going to know when. So I think AI for us is just, like it's almost like everybody having a nuclear arsenal, right? If they're going to have it, we got to have it. We got to have some kind of defense. What do you think, Don?
Yeah, I agree with that. And think about how accurate they can be to the count. where it's not just a plus minus, it's an actual card value that that'll go right into the camera, and they'll always know the right plays to play, what side bets. Now you can start attacking different side bets with that information. Um, yeah, AI is moving so fast in all aspects. Currently it can write your memos, and we use it for HR tasks. You can drop in your standards and say, all right, this is dealer did this, dealer did that, floor supervisor, and what's the appropriate disciplinary act. All those things can be done with it. With the chat BTT and all the different AI. It's moving probably faster than most of us can really handle, to be honest with you.
It is moving fast, and I'm a little privy to some of the development. We're going to go talk on about it here, of course, but it's happening so fast that like we're doing things on top of things because it just passed us by 2 days ago, right? And now we got to catch up. And I'm sure we've got the person out there who, when we just talked about the guy with the Google glasses and all this stuff, he said that that will never happen in my casino. We will never allow that, whatever. Well, if you said that, I want you to go to Instagram and look at this guy. His name's Casino Capone. He's probably been to every casino that I know of. He plays every night with these damn Google glasses on. Let me see if I can put him in the picture there. This character here. Yeah, that guy, if you can see it. Anyway, he's got these every night. Every night he's out there. Your floor people are just, they're buried in the rating. There we go. Where they're buried into the rating, and they're not seeing this guy, which is his is pretty obvious. That little dot up here on the corner, kind of hard to miss, but if you're looking for it, but you got to be looking for it, right? And he came into my last casino. I mean, that's how I noticed him.
Wow.
Some dealer said, "Hey, there was a guy on there playing at one of our tables." I went, "Oh, damn, it was." So there it happens. They
That's
got the
crazy.
B man. They got the B man. He wasn't doing nothing. This guy here doesn't do nothing. This guy's an influencer. He wants you to. He's like the Vegas Mats or the Brian Christophers. He's hoping he's going to make 75,000 a month like these guys are, but it takes a little while to get there. So he isn't a threat really, but there is going to be guys who they're not going to be Instagram influencers. They're going to be bank influencers. They're going to have a bank
Yeah.
account. What do you think, Don? Could this guy come to your place? You think?
I think, I'm sure we already have people that come in, and speaking to some of the AI, tech that's out there, that's also going to be able to recognize that, right? So it's gonna have a running count of every single table that's in play in blackjack, and you'll be able to identify that, instantaneously, instead of having a floor supervisor trying to run them down and convert the running count to the true count and do all these different things with their bets. It's all going to be instantaneous. It's going to be way more efficient. And that's kind of, it takes more off of the supervisor's table, and they can go back to the guest service, which is what we're all looking for anyway.
Yeah, I uh, I can't wait to see what the next chapter holds. But I know we're going to be having more conversations this year as it goes along. By G2E, what we know now will totally change. It will totally change. And you know what? Kudos to some of these people who have been trying to put this together forever. And but now the technology is out there, and it's a race to the front. And we'll see how it plays out. But guys, I really appreciate you joining me on this episode. And yeah, like I said, it won't be the last one. Any final comments there, Mr. Mallow? And by the way, Mr. Mallow is going to be the MC at the Global Table Games Conference again. I don't know why keeps getting this gig.
Neither do I, man.
But
I
man,
don't.
it's unbelievable. But everybody wants to be Paul Mall. Paul, give us some good closing words.
Well, I mean, I would all the things that we talked about, and all of the things that we feel that AI could be used for. Somebody's got to write this stuff, and I mean, in our worlds, in my world, I'm so buried in operations that I don't have time to you know, learn and write this whole AI stuff. We need companies out there that are progressive enough to be thinking this and to get these products to us. So I mean, right now it's just a pipe dream. It's vaporware, but I definitely could see companies in the future out there using this, thinking about all the different tasks that are out there that AI could take over, and putting it into a bundle, into a package, and having it the next G2E. So I think there's exciting things to come. I hope there is.
Don, you're one of the most innovative guys I see. You know, if there's a way to refry the egg or something, you're going to find it, man. So, what? Give us some final thoughts on this AI stuff. Is it real? Is it crap, or is it never going to happen? Or how far are we away?
I think it's real. I think it's coming fast, and I think that operators should embrace it, learn about it, explore that. You have different companies that are racing to get there, and I just think that it's going to happen, right? So you might as well get in front of it before it runs you over, because when your competitors are using it and you're not, it's going to put you at a severe disadvantage. I don't even know that it'll take all the way till G2E of this year. It's coming that fast. As long as these companies can scale, to get off the ground and scale their operations, and come in at a price point that makes sense for the American casinos. You see a lot of this stuff over in Asia, where they have 500 baccarat tables and billions of dollars in revenue. It has to be something that's scalable at a price point that American operators will take advantage of that.
You're absolutely right. I mean, it's got to be financially feasible. You know, there's everybody's going to need it, from the guy with 12 tables in Colorado to South Dakota to Paul Malo with 5 million tables there in Southern California. And it's amazing to me. I wrote a little piece the other day about my move into the dark side, and it's really eye opening for me. It really is, because I was that guy who said, come on, man, you got to do better than this. Give me a number or whatever this. I was that guy. I mean, I probably beat up more vendors than I got a better record than Muhammad Ali had. Let me tell you. But anyway, it's just amazing what's out there. Just like you said, Don, you talked about embracing it, right? So you got a segment of the operators who they like, come on, man. If I don't put my hand in your side, it's all the full doubting Thomas, right? They're not going to be blessed because they believed they got to see it, right? And then you got a bunch of guys and some really, really innovative, big operators saying, "Hey, man, show me what you got. I don't care if you can barely plug it in the wall. Show me what you got. Show it to me now. I want it. I want it tomorrow. Can you get it in here tomorrow? Uh, well, that's too long. How about tonight?" And I'm like, wow, this is just such an extreme from one side to the other. But the only thing I can say is you better get somewhere onto the boat, right? You got to jump on the boat somewhere, or you're going to be extremely left behind. This is an old dog, learning new tricks, and I'm telling you what, if you don't jump at this stick, you're going to be in big trouble. Guys, thank you so much. Appreciate you being the know, and I promise you, folks, it won't be as long next time. Thank you, and see you on the next one.